Hi, I'm Sam.
I'm Samri.
And welcome to the Lines Between the Stars podcast. We're talking about pretty people today and how they're privileged.
Pretty privilege.
Yeah.
And how you can also get that privilege.
Life advice, just be attractive.
For me, so I went out today to the chiropractor and later went to a tire center, and then before that I went to the orthodontist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Busy day today.
Yeah. I was driving a lot, and I noticed, so my top is a pink t-shirt with cacti all over.
Yeah.
And then I have baby blue jeans, and I'm wearing makeup.
Okay.
So I think that's why people were nice to me today.
Yeah, and that's actually something that I know that I've heard about. There's been there's perception of at least for guys, there are things that if an attractive person does, it's considered cool and attractive. If an unattractive person does it, it's considered creepy. Unsolicited.
If a guy,
unsolicited compliments, for example.
Okay. So I was watching Themis and Thoth yesterday, and there was a guy who was a black guy, was commenting in, the stream, about sex and porn and all that stuff. I mean, that's creepy.
That is very creepy.
If you take that out, so he came on the panel to complain about black women, and he wanted to humble black women.
Right.
He wanted us to not be proud of our accomplishments.
Okay.
That's weird, right?
That is weird. But was he good looking?
So no.
Okay, or he was just really ugly.
He was average at best.
Okay.
I'll use the same terminology that they use on black women.
All right.
So, and he's 46, and there was a black woman, allegedly. Maybe
allegedly
it's not
a black woman?
Well, I think it was a black woman. But anyways, so she was agreeing with him in the chat. So he took it upon himself to look her up on Facebook and message her and say, "Oh, you have nice eyes and nice hair." And then that creeped her out. Understandably.
Understandably, yes, that is very creepy.
Yeah. And that was also a good lesson to, the women there to not use your real name. People don't track you down.
Don't use your real name. Never use your real names. In the age of the internet, when during the 90s and such, when I was a young kid, going through AOL and Juno and whenever you logged into the internet to make this really ugly screeching sound. And dial-up, pretty much. Dial-up. The era of dial-up. One of the things I remember being told a lot was, hey, don't use your real name. Don't put any personal information on there. And then I feel that sort of thing, the adults that told me to do that are now breaking those rules the biggest. They they're more likely to use their real names and stuff like that online. I mean,
for Facebook you kind of have to.
Yeah, Facebook you kind of have to.
Because it's family, relatives.
But at the same time, I don't use my Facebook anymore, so you know what? I don't really pay attention too much to that. I think nowadays everyone's on Instagram, and it's back to usernames on Instagram,
that's true.
Right?
Yeah. Millennial generation. But yeah, so I don't know how we got to this, but that's how we do it.
Yeah, that's how we do. That's how our podcasts work.
There's privilege in being pretty. Also wearing makeup, and so
would you say that it's
nice.
The work you put into yourself that reflects as being rewarded?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. There's also the fact that you're exercising too. You're losing weight.
That's true.
And I know society is pretty rough on overweight people. Especially
for overweight women.
Exactly.
Girls, yeah.
Because like society expects everyone to be thin, even though it's in like if you live in the U.S., the like deck is stacked against you.
In the U.S.
Yeah, like all the cheap, like cheap access to
diet.
Like the diet, the cultural diet, pretty much. The fact that everything's like hyper processed.
Yeah.
It's more. There's no convenient, healthy options. Everything's like highly processed and stuff like that. So the deck is stacked against you, but society expects everyone to be hyper pretty and attractive.
Yeah, and so something I noticed, I saw two Abasha guys, like older, like not middle age, like 40s, 50s, and both of them had big bellies. Like one of them, his belly button was poking out.
Oh boy, that's attractive.
Because of how big his belly is.
That's the belly of a beer drinker.
Oh, it's actually considered attractive for Abasha men.
Really?
Yeah, in Ethiopia, there's a tribe where the men need to have bellies like that.
Really?
Like just poking out like this.
Because that's actually a sign of fatty liver disease, and it's like extremely unhealthy.
No. That is a sign that you have enough money to eat. And which implies that the woman who marries that man can also live that healthy, like fat life.
Yeah, but the thing is that you can get that sort of belly and like be like skinny all around because like the fat builds up around your liver, and it's like a sign of like liver failure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I think because of drinking.
Yeah.
I think they just protrude their bellies also, and like they don't get it in, because it does take efforts to like keep your belly in. I've noticed. So
it's easier to just
cultural.
It's easier to like kind of like protrude it.
Let it go.
Let it go a bit. Man, I work so hard to keep my stomach flat.
Oh yeah.
I work very hard to keep my stomach flat.
Yeah, even if you eat a lot, it doesn't go out a lot.
Yeah,
and that's like admirable.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like my scoliosis has made it so that like there's a compression, and then the the gut moves out, and whatever I eat, you can see it, and I also get bloated easily.
Yeah,
but
I work out a lot.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Is I just work out a lot, and then I'm still careful about what I eat for the most part. Like all things considering, like the methodology I have when I eat is like, I eat pretty clean. Like for most of the time, I think like people who know me, they'll see like the pictures of like all like the really good looking food that I eat. They don't see like the sparse like rice, kimchi, and natto bowls that I eat on the regular.
Oh yeah.
Like there's like for every good like barbecue like that I have or something like elaborate like meat dish I make and like I post online, there's equally amount of like unappetizing looking like bowls of natto and rice and kimchi that I eat down and like all the soybeans I eat.
It is a quick and healthy alternative.
Yeah, it is my like quick and healthy meal.
Yeah, you just need to cook up some rice and
eat natto. You just have to be okay with eating natto, which I know it's not. It's weird for us because we both like it, right? But to the vast majority of the population, they do not like natto, despite its like health benefits and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a taste to it.
Yeah, there's a taste to it that you get used to,
And texture.
Yeah, and texture. I just like slimy foods.
Natto is, I would say just taste it. I don't want to like ruin it for anyone.
Oh, I'll 100% be like, like if you're not used to it, you're probably going to be appalled by it if you're not like at all used to like slimy texture foods.
I don't like slimy foods, but I was okay with it.
Yeah. I think also it's like eating it with rice helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, attractive privilege.
Yeah, pretty privilege. It's also called the halo effect, especially at work.
Yeah.
People who are prettier get paid more.
Yeah, that's
true. They got promoted sooner.
Yeah. But I've always felt like, there's some aspects where part of it is personality too, you know?
You have to be outgoing?
Not like necessarily outgoing, like someone who's willing to put in the effort to like exercise, right? Or like do a makeup, right?
Mm-hmm.
They work hard. They put effort into their appearance and to look appeasing. While someone who like doesn't put any effort, like they don't want to put effort, they might be looking into different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But appealing to someone else's aesthetic is not one of their parts of their personality trait.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people who are born with deformities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, though, yeah, but in a lot of other cases, I feel like a lot of people aren't like naturally ugly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, naturally ugly.
Yeah. Aside from like, there are some deformities where people like, that's just like a rough lot in life.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you're looking at your chin line and being like, this needs to be shaved down like 2 centimeters, you're thinking it wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, buddy, bro, please. Like, there's like people out there who blame everything on their own ugliness, you know? And they use it as kind of a mental blocker, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know there's people who are like, oh man, I'm just so ugly. And then you're like, bruh.
Bruh. Yeah.
Like there is, I know in like, I've heard in like incel chats where like they'll like post pictures of themselves like, look how ugly I am. Everyone like like enforces that negativity. But then you look at the images and you're just like, you're not that ugly, you know? That is like, the dude's like average looking, you know? Or like, there are people who, like maybe if they like groomed their beard, like, maybe if they groomed their beard a bit, like, put some moisturizer on.
Yeah. Or shower more frequently.
Or shower more frequently, right?
Yeah, basic like hygiene and stuff goes a long way, I feel.
Yeah, but going the extreme of it, you don't want to be like too into yourself, right? Like,
you don't want to spend too much on makeup or hair.
Where it's just like I mean, I guess in anything in life in general, like being too extreme at one thing is gonna be like rough, right?
You need to have a balance.
Like there's definitely people who look at themselves and think that they're always ugly, and then they go into like weird states to like try to achieve their perfect body. Whether it's like those women who are like obsessed with getting plastic surgery. Then there's like people who like there's people who like who are bulimic and they like throw up everything they eat so they maintain a thin body, right? Like there's people who are like, oh, I'm so fat, but you look at them, it's like we could snap you like a twig.
Body dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia.
It's a mental illness.
It's a mental illness. And it also kind of goes like, for me, like sometimes when I look at myself, I'm just like, man, I'm skinny. Like I'm really skinny. Like I'm always too skinny, But like I know that sometimes for some people, like that's a thing that hits like certain bodybuilders sometimes, where they think like, oh, I look too skinny, and then taking like steroids or other things to just make them look bigger, to get like bigger, or they like work out super hard. So being too extreme, not good.
Just find your version of balance and use affirmations to help you out.
Like there's also another thing too of like giving people too much positive, like like it's more than just it's more than just like like believe in yourself, like like self-love too, right? Like there's a balance, right? There's a balance to it.
Like what's the negative for,
like some people need to know that like, man, you honestly should probably like
are you talking about the body positivity movement?
There is body positivity. There's also like people who like try to promote like self-help stuff too sometimes, right? And there's things like like when you go online dating,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of advice is like love yourself. I mean, we also promoted love yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also another thing of like, man, sometimes like life is just out for you sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with online dating.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching this video. There's a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm. YouTube
video, and it's kind of like he was kind of going to the topic of like online dating,
mm-hmm.
and like how one can go into online dating and do everything right, but still like fail,
mm-hmm.
right? Just because of like, you know, I mean, one, a lot of the online dating apps are made for like, I think you were talking about like the algorithms and such like that,
mm-hmm.
and the algorithms aren't focused on what actually like it help promotes a
mm-hmm.
actual relationship. Like think about what makes a good relationship, and which is communication with your partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
But apps don't match you based off of how well you communicate with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
They match you based off of other things, like
mm-hmm.
income.
So income comes into it?
Yeah, income can come into it. Like, you know, like attractiveness. What else is there?
There's race. Yeah, there's ethnicity. A lot of like.
Yeah, but it's none of that actually matters when you're trying to get a long-term relationship, right? If you like, there was even a topic of like, he was talking about how he had a client apparently that was like an addict.
What addict?
Like a drug addict.
Oh, okay.
But he and his partner communicated with each other to try to get like away from it, like to like get him like past this, and through hard work they were able to, you know, in therapy, you know, of course, like therapy stuff like that, he was able to get past it. Not saying that you should try dating a drug addict or anything like that, but like it's just to show that like with communication, even if like this deck is stacked against you, you can find a like good relationship, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, like the first attraction comes from
from looks,
superficial things.
Yeah, from superficial things. But like, you know, in the old days, and I say old days, I mean like pre-internet days, you could go to the bar and strike up a conversation and then gain attraction to that.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't happen nowadays.
No one goes to bars?
No one goes to bar, like no one goes to bars, or at least like goes and like, you know, goes out to like pick anyone up. It's all online nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. There are matching, what is it, like there are services where they can match you.
Yeah, but it's all based off of like all based off of like matchmakers and stuff that. But a lot of it, it's like still like a lot of it is like based off of like a resume initially. And you don't get, it's kind of the same reason why like we get frustrated on like a job hunt sometimes, and they're like, well, if they could only just talk to me.
Yeah, that's true. Give you a chance,
right?
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
True.
And like not a lot, there are people who are like, oh hey, like I'm supposed to be like, and also we like to formulate, like here's the thing, for a good relationship there's no formula to it.
Yeah,
right? You really have to just like figure it out, like
you have to be willing to compromise.
Yeah, but there's the thing is that like people want a formula.
Yeah, there's no formula.
There's no formula, but people want a formula.
I mean, there's a general like guideline, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't be abusive or.
Yeah, that's true.
Try to have your partner be a parent or.
Yeah.
A therapist or you know, like all these different things.
Yeah, it's communications on both sides.
Communication, be willing to be what is it? Open, yeah.
And, I mean that's why our relationship is pretty good, is we're pretty open on communication.
Yeah. Like if something comes up, just talk about it right away instead of keeping it to yourself. Because more misunderstandings happen when you don't say the reason behind what you're saying,
right?
The context, build things up, you know. If you need to explain things more, just you can have like an outline.
Yeah.
If the other person is busy or
like
whatever.
I can understand the the thought of like some kids growing up where they're like, oh yeah, my parents like fight all the time, but they're like still together. They're still together, right?
That is different, though.
That is different. It is different. It's not the case.
They grew up in a different time.
Yeah, grew up a different time or different thing. But that is a form of communication, right? Like if they fight all the time, but it's like not like one-sided fighting or it's more like they argue a lot, or like even like have like discussions with each other, right? And then they come to a conclusion. Fight is very generic, right? Saying two people fight all the time, right? Like they can fight but come to an agreement at the end. You would think that's like, oh, that's nice, right?
Interesting.
If they fight and someone gets punched, then that's not a good thing.
I guess people have different definitions of it.
Yeah, people have different definitions of it,
Yeah.
Once again,
when I think of the word, I don't think of something good.
Yeah, once again, it's one of those things where it depends on individuals, and we're all different. We're all very different.
Yeah.
So, once again, we've diverted topics.
Oh, it's okay.
But that's alright. That's the podcast.
We went to Juneteenth together.
Yeah.
And Sam was not the only non-black person.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Neutral.
Neutral.
I didn't think anything of it.
Oh.
I thought it was kind of neat. I was like, it's not just black people, but you know what? People supportive.
Yeah. And there was a Gullah Geechee woman.
She was cool. I thought she was cool.
She was happy that there were white people there to show support.
She was part of an AMBW relationship.
She has a Filipino husband.
Yeah, so I thought... They
have grandbabies.
Yeah, and I was like, hey babe, look, this AMBW relationship,
Sam always points out other either AMBW, or if he sees a black woman in the neighborhood, he's like, see, there are other black people here. The cops are not gonna stop you if you're running.
They run in our neighborhood.
Yeah, because in the beginning of our relationship, you were like, let's go running.
Yeah.
And then I was like running, and then I was like, maybe I shouldn't run in your neighborhood. And then you're like, that stuck with you.
Yeah, that did stick with me. And I'm like, look.
Whenever he sees a person, he's like, look at them.
I tend to hyperfixate on certain things, and then they stick with me forever.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now we know where all the black people live.
Yep. Yeah, or we'll go to a restaurant, it's like, look, a black person.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. Don't worry, people.
Yeah. So usually if it's you pointing it out, I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I'm not actually hyper excited. I'm trying to be excited for you.
Oh, okay. And then we were we ate at a Asian restaurant, and there's always something that I noticed of they would bring out fork.
Yeah.
With a dish, they're like,
here's a fork for you. Yeah, slide it with you. Yeah. That was really funny.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, does this dish come with a fork, or is it for me?
Yeah, I was like, no, it's for you. I'm rather honest with that.
Yeah.
Nah, it's because you're black.
Yeah, because you were eating, I was eating with chopsticks too.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't, that's how stereotypes work in people's mind. If you see someone doing something that's not stereotypically, something that person from that group does.
Yeah.
It's difficult to change it. The brain, the neurons don't fire in a way where it's like, oh, a black woman can use chopsticks. So it's physically.
Yeah.
It's not only you have to mindfully retrain your brain to think, oh, even if you're not Asian, you can still use chopsticks.
Yeah.
So that's why 90+% of the time, they always bring me a fork.
Yeah. I remember one time, I believe I had ordered curry, and a friend of mine who's white had ordered pad thai at a Thai restaurant. So when you're eating curry, you're more likely to eat that with a spoon, right? Because it's usually on a plate.
Is it a soup?
No, it's curry. You've eaten curry. You know what curry is.
Oh, okay. Potato and
like any
carrots.
any curry, right?
Okay.
It's saucy. It's easier to put, like if you're eating on a plate, it's easier to just put it on a plate and eat with a spoon. And pad thai is noodles, right? So you had a noodle dish, which is like good for like, chopsticks. You can like use chopsticks to grab the noodles and eat it. And with curry, you want to just get a spoon, scoop in the rice and the sauce together and eat it, right? So we ordered, we want a spoon and a pair of chopsticks. They gave me the chopsticks, my friend the spoon. Even though our dishes I was eating the dish that requires a spoon, he was eating the dish that requires chopsticks. But he was white and I was Asian.
Did you switch?
Yeah, we switched.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
We looked at each other and we're like, yeah. It's a common thing. I know anyone who I eat like out with who is not Asian will always get a fork.
It might also be because they're trying to be
mindful
and like offer customer service.
I don't think it's anything to be like offended over or anything like that.
Yeah.
Even though I remember when we went to Richmond in Vancouver, we would go to an Asian place and they would offer me a fork and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, in Canada, if an Asian person goes out with a non-Asian person, it'll be assumed that you're not Asian.
Yeah. So I was like...
Or you're trying not to be Asian or something. I don't know what the mindset is.
But it was so weird where I'm like, you gave me a fork. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That is really interesting.
Yeah.
And they always brought separate checks to us.
Yeah.
That's also another
By
thing.
default.
Yeah.
Usually here, usually if we want separate checks, you ask, right? But they usually assume we're together.
Yeah.
And it's not like we weren't wearing our rings in Canada. We were wearing our rings in Canada.
Yeah.
So, like, when we went to Canada, they're like, gave us separate checks. They just immediately assumed separate checks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's like, is this me here?
I wonder if it's because they're more progressive.
Maybe. I don't know.
But...
I also think, like, they don't think that we're together. That was my impression, right?
Yeah.
That's my impression. It's like, oh, they think that we're not together, or
it must
just
be
like,
super rare.
or maybe like first date or something like that.
Or like a business meeting or something.
Yeah. And I'm just like, please, we're together. Just same check. It's easier.
Yeah.
You've gotten better at paying for meals too. Remember when I first started dating, I would pay for all the meals. Yeah.
I'm like, I would forget my wallet because I wasn't mindful.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, it's more of who invited who.
Yeah.
Like if it was my idea to be like, oh, let's go out tonight, then I would pay.
Yeah. Or if like I go out, like I invite you. I'm always gonna pay.
Yeah.
Sometimes she has to like remind me not to pay though, because it is like ingrained in me.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it because is it from your upbringing?
I think so. Like I always just know like from me like, oh yeah, like the way like Asians do it, we just like take turns paying.
Oh, okay.
And it's almost like a fight for the bill. Right.
Yeah, it's very similar to Abasha culture.
Yeah, it's very much a fight for the bill, and you're like, oh, I got it.
So, like, I know for your side of the family, we've always been invited to your siblings' houses and your parents' house.
Yeah.
But we've never invited anyone to your place.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what's the solution for that?
I don't know.
Because we would need to clean up.
Yeah.
tidy up.
Tidy up, yep.
And because Sam has a guinea pig.
Yeah.
That might be the issue.
Yeah, I get anxious inviting people over.
Oh.
Nowadays, yeah.
Why?
Being a host and stuff.
Is it a lot of... It's a lot of work,
yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I know, like, they're like, oh, yeah, people can bring food over, but I'm like, no, I have to be a good host.
Oh, you don't consider yourself a good host if you don't cook everything?
If I don't, like, have food prepped or anything, which means, like, I could get catering and stuff that, too. Mm-hmm. But still, like, it's kind of like one of those things that just, like, adds stress. Like, oh, like, things have to be super clean. Right, because I grew up in a household that like hosted things and just like the prep work that goes into it. I'm just like, that's so stressful.
Oh, okay.
I'd rather just invite people out to like a restaurant or something like that.
Maybe we could do that.
Yeah.
In the future.
Like I wouldn't mind just like making reservations and stuff and just like doing it that way. I don't like inviting people over.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also kids.
Yeah.
I don't want the kids to like sneak around and like injure themselves.
Yeah.
For a long time too, it was like I'm like my house is not kid proof.
Yeah.
You know, that was another thing too. So that's my place.
That's true.
My place is smaller than everyone else's places too.
I think it's the same size as your sister's.
Maybe, yeah. Anyways.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's been the podcast.
Hi.
Thank you for listening. Please hit that bell notification. Do the subscribing. It helps out the channel and improves our analytics.
You did the spiel this time.
Yeah. I always do the spiel.
No, I do it.
Okay.
I think I'm better.
All right. Anyways, thanks for listening. See you later.
Bye.